Okay, hello everyone. This is going to be a live simulcast with Liberty Tree Radio coming up in just a minute or so. Hear the music playing. Liberty Tree Radio is a podcast I've been doing for, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years. I don't know how long it's been. And that appears weekly, Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m., which is 7 p.m. now, roughly. So anyway, the music's playing and about ready to go on live here, so let me do this. This is done on the phone. And I need to unmute.
Unmuted.
And I need to unmute here. Hello again, and welcome to another live episode, another dangerous live episode of Forbidden Knowledge. My name is Craig. We are here live, if you are listening and watching, on Wednesday, February 5th of 2025. Yes, watching. If you want to watch instead of just listening, for those of you on Liberty Tree Radio, you can watch on YouTube a channel called Forbid TV. Forbid spelled with two D's and then TV, no space. Forbid TV. And we have both. We're going to be able to take questions or comments both on the live stream of Liberty Tree Radio. The way you normally do, with those of you listening to Liberty Tree Radio, and also the live chat on YouTube, because we have both of them up visible right now for me. So, I think I have my audio problems fixed, thanks to some members of the audience who helped me work on that here about 30 minutes ago, because last live stream I did on YouTube turned out the audio was pretty bad. I have to learn to look at the camera. I'm not used to looking at the camera because I'm used to talking in the phone. Okay, so obviously we have some big news going on in the world of politics. The half-life of political activity during Donald Trump's 15 days in office or whatever it's been has been immense, and so things are happening at a rapid pace. And yesterday, of course, we had the Israeli crime minister landing in the U.S. without getting arrested, which shouldn't happen. Meeting with Donald Trump, and some bad things at a press conference were mentioned that we're going to be talking about tonight, because I'm not very confident in this, folks. I mean, I wasn't happy about Trump being elected, but I would have been less happy with the other thing selected, but we got what we got. I'm not happy about either choice, but either one would have been a nightmare as far as Israel goes. If the administration of our previous cadaver-in-chief was still into play, we would have still been going on exactly the way we're going on now. Okay, the audio. Somebody tells me the audio is kind of bad and sounds like the mic is being shattered. Not trying to be bad news, bring bad news. Well, thank you for that. What I can do is I can switch to a microphone, because I tested this earlier. And for those of you on YouTube, you're going to lose audio for a second here. And we're going to plug in a different microphone. We're going to try this but I was told during the live test that both of them were about the same. And so now, the noises get through here, we have another microphone hooked up to the YouTube audience. So hopefully that's better. If not, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do this time, because the audio built into the microphone of the laptop I'm using is not very good. So somebody can mention whether the audio is decent enough to endure on YouTube now, or if you can't hear me, type a 0. Of course, you can't hear me. That makes no sense, right? Okay, so we had the Israeli crime minister and Donald Trump meeting, and the outcome of that in a press conference yesterday, announcing the fact that he plans on taking over. A little better, I'll have to deal with it. Okay, well, apparently the audio is still not great on the YouTube stream, so I'm sorry about that, folks. I did work on that before, and I went from what I was told from a 5, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I went from a 5 to an 8 by these other microphones. So I'm just going to have to deal with it unless I get some other thing going on the future live streams. I want to make sure I got this a little better, because I like to keep these posted. There's still going to be, this video will be posted and left up. But unfortunately, and we'll see if YouTube allows it to stay up because of the topic subject matter. is not going to be very favorable to the YouTube bots. They may even try to shut my channel down at some point if I keep talking about this topic. Because I don't believe things are going to be going our way, folks. Here, I'm speaking from the U.S. for those of you who don't know, of course. I'm speaking from the U.S. and I'm just talking about in general of what's happening in the world and what we're going to have happen here in the United States is going to be bad for us. Even though we sometimes feel like we're removed from world events, Donald Trump is throwing us into world events big time by getting more and more involved in the Middle East. Of course, for those of you who voted for Trump and you're surprised at this move, I'm not really surprised because a lot of people said it would get worse, and I kind of thought it would get worse under Trump as far as the Israeli issue goes, the Gaza, the Israeli, the Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Iraq. It's all going to be. It's not going to wouldn't get any better and probably get worse with Trump. And here we are. He's going to make it worse. Don't know who's giving him advice for sure, but he's listening to bad advice, or he's just got bad ideas, or he hasn't thought them through very well. He's shooting from the hip. Now, we sometimes have to ignore what he says, and already the White House has already backed down on some of the statements he said yesterday. I don't have written down here exactly the word for word quotations what he said, but essentially he's saying he wants to take over Gaza, and I presume that means move in, and he wants to rebuild. And of course, we can all envision, real estate magnate. He was going to want to put what hotels, casinos, and whatever. I mean, Gaza will be unlivable for the Gazans, or what we shall say, Palestinians. These are all keywords that might get me banned on YouTube, by the way. I have free reign on Liberty Tree Radio. If there are some places you can go, if you're watching on YouTube, Liberty Tree Radio does have the ability for literal free speech. I can swear up a square if I want. I can do whatever I want on Liberty Tree Radio, and I wouldn't get blocked. YouTube, though, I could get blocked, so we have to be careful of that. Thanks for those of you. Several people are talking to me on the Trump is speed running to World War III. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, World War III. When you say World War III, I have to pause on that because when everybody says World War III, a lot of people always think right immediately nuclear, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It doesn't have to be nuclear, but yeah, the whole world will probably be involved with this. The whole world is going to be against us essentially.
Hey, Greg.
Hello, Ed. It's Ed at the studio.
Yeah, I'm going to correct you on one thing. Expletive deleted are okay, but I have a request that you do a warning that it's coming up because we have homeschoolers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay with it as long as you say, hey, we're going to use some foul language. You might want to divert the kiddies' ears, because we do have homeschoolers service.
Yeah,
that's the only caveat.
Well, as long as words like genocide and ethnic cleansing are allowed on Liberty Street Radio, I'll be good, because as you know, I don't ever swear on either stream, either the live stream of YouTube or Liberty Street Radio. So, but those two words might actually get me blocked and banned from YouTube. We'll see. They might cut me off live if I just disappear suddenly. Well, I could have problems with the internet, of course. If I get cut off suddenly, that's probably the reason. It's probably because YouTube decided to snip it. And words like Israel land grab, and I'm reading some of the chat here. So as you can hear, Liberty Tree Radio, I'll try to answer some of your questions. Anybody calling in, and also and Liberty Tree Radio people, keep in mind you'll be listened to on YouTube. So try to keep your language cool for YouTube, because YouTube is a lot more controlled. Let's use that word, a lot more controlled than Liberty Tree Radio is. So we have to. If you're responding on the Liberty Radio live stream, then please try to keep your language good. But yeah, I don't think nukes will actually be necessarily used. They could be. Now we all pretty much know, the world kind of knows. It's wink, wink, nod, nod. That Israel has nuclear weapons, right? Iran doesn't yet. They probably should at this point. After all the things that's going to be happening to them under Trump and whatever else is coming in the future, they might as well go for it, because they're probably going to need it. But we'll see. Trump may negotiate that down to reduce their weapons potential, nuclear weapons potential, who knows. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be Iran, folks. It could be Russia or China, because Russia and China both are going to be on the side of Iran. They've already had agreements, and both militarily and economically, where they're going to be more tied at the hip than they ever were. And of course, Putin. I mean, we're essentially at war with Putin, even though nobody wants to really admit it. Although the mainstream media is now finally starting to come across a little bit to demonstrate that yes, indeed, we are actually basically in a losing war with Russia and Vladimir Putin. So things are happening even on the mainstream media to try to shift that. Because in the beginning, you remember, they all tried to get us to believe that, oh, Ukraine's got this. They're sinking ships. They're doing all these things. They're making sure that Russia can't win. And here we are 2.5 years later, and they've won. They've essentially won. And the mainstream media is finally admitting that, yeah, they're going to have to give up territories, and there's things going on now. The mainstream media is finally changing the narrative a little bit on Ukraine, so we're finally going to probably see some reduction of things that are happening in Ukraine. Weapons and money are still being sent there, as last I've heard, but that may end, and Trump's probably going to meet, even though that war, we don't have any business being there. But to think that Putin isn't a little disgruntled with the U.S. for basically causing this war in Ukraine, I think you're naive if you're thinking that. Let's see let's see what people are saying here. Do you think nukes will work? Capacitors, hydrogen 3, booster problem failed by now. So Gaza becomes beautiful, rebuilt, and Palestinians moved out. Yeah, for those of you who, if you're just hearing some of this stuff now and you're pro-Israel for some reason, that some reason would be either you're listening to the wrong people or you just aren't listening to the facts. Because I don't see, I'm not. Okay, we'll get this straight here because of the possibility of being blocked on YouTube and misunderstanding here. Nothing you're going to hear tonight, from me anyway, is going to be anti-Semitic. I have no problems with Jewish people of the Jewish persuasion. I have a problem with the Zionists that are running the country of Israel here in the United States of Israel. Because if you doubt that by now, you just haven't been paying attention. United States of Israel, I say that intentionally, because don't think of Israel as the 51st state, think of it as the first state, because everything that Israel wants, Israel's going to get from the United States, unless somebody stands up and does something about it. But all of our congressmen, all our senators, just about all of them, are paid off by the Israeli lobby, and they're not going to, they've already been sent millions of dollars for their campaigns, and they're not going to change. It's all. I keep looking at the wrong camera. I got another camera here, and I should be looking at that because that's only my microphone that I've got plugged in. So I'm sorry, folks, on YouTube. I should be looking at the camera. So this is not going to be good for us. In fact, now the world is starting to hate us. So we are behind not only what happened in Ukraine, not only the start of it, what happened in Ukraine, but also all the way up through to the end here. We'll fight Russia to the last Ukrainian, right? That's what it's been. And here in Israel, that we're going to be seeing a lot of problems that aren't going to go away, and Trump looks like he's bound and determined to make it worse. I can sometimes lose my train of thought and get off a little bit. If you voted for Trump, thinking he's going to keep us out of war, I think you're being naive. Because all you have to do is go back and look up after his support of what he did in his first term, the Abraham Accords, the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, all the things that he did. Jared Kushner, Jared, is that his name? Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, wanting to rebuild Gaza. Yeah, casinos and condos for Palestinians? No, I don't think so. Because the goal of the Israeli Zionists, the real goal, all they said that was the elimination of Hamas. That was their stated goal, which they didn't achieve, by the way, after 14, 15 months of bombing the hell out of them. In fact, they're probably stronger than they were before Hamas is, because they haven't lost membership, and they're right out releasing hostages with nicely pressed uniforms, and it really made Israel look like a fool because they lost that war. If the stated goal was to remove Hamas, they obviously very much lost that war that they did in the last 15 months. Killed a lot of Gazans, and that's part of the real agenda that wasn't announced in the mainstream, that wasn't said out loud, and we're seeing now, because Trump is now trying to help it out, was to either kill or move out every Palestinian out of the Gaza Strip. That was the goal. That was the true goal. They killed a lot, at least 50,000, maybe it was more, many as 100. When they start searching through the rubble, they're going to find a lot more bodies. But they mowed the lawn again, like they've done for the last 50 years, 70 years. They've been doing this. This is nothing new. So Gaza has been a prison camp, and it's going to be still a prison camp. And now Trump wants to come in and move them all out. And he can do this? And can he do this legally? No, he can't do this legally. Will he do it? He probably will try, and he will be able to send in military because he is the commander in chief after all. He can send. Whether or not it's all going to be legal and lawful, and whether or not our military commanders are going to obey unlawful orders, that's up to them. Could have a coup on our hands here, folks, possibly, because Americans aren't going to like what they're seeing over there and what's going to be happening to them. Because Hamas isn't just going to step out of the way and let the Americans take over. If you think that, you're also naive. No, it's going to be hand-to-hand combat with boots on the ground. Are they just going to use contractors to go in there? What do they call those military people that are for hire? There's a word for it. I can't remember the word at the moment. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to have to be boots on the ground. The Marines or whatever. It's not going to be fun. And the people from the U.S. aren't going to be as inclined to die for Israel. I don't think. That's just my opinion, of course, and this whole program's my opinion, of course. But it's not going to be good. So Trump says it's already destroyed. Nobody wants to live there. Well, we know that's not true because you saw the videos on YouTube, thousands and thousands of people returning, heading north, like masses of refugees returning to their bombed-out buildings to start a life again. And after this first initial ceasefire was over with, Israel's just going to start bombing them again. But now Trump's going to come in and try to move them all out. It reminds me of something that happened more than 100 years ago that was referred to as the Trail of Tears, for those of you know what I'm talking about. Trail of Tears, if you don't know, was basically a movement. I think Andrew Jackson was the president at the time, I believe. One of the bad things Andrew Jackson did, he did great by removing the bankers, but he did terrible by the Trail of Tears, removing the Indians, basically. American history here, folks, for those of you around the world who don't know what I'm talking about. American history, Trail of Tears basically was we were ethnically cleansing the U.S. territories of Indians. So we had to move them all out. Either kill them or move them out. The U.S. government decided to move them all up, put them all up in groups, line them up, march them for hundreds of miles out in the desert, lands that nobody wanted. That's what we did to the Indians. So here we have a modern-day Trail of Tears in Israel where we're going to march them all out to nowhere. Where are they going? Trump seems to think he's going to get Egypt and Jordan to take them. No, they've stated very clearly they don't want them. All the countries in the Middle East are going to be against us here. So if there is a world war, yes, world war just means all the countries going to war. This could be it, yes, but doesn't necessarily mean nuclear war. Okay, that's what was my point about the comment earlier. But he's going to line up millions. He's going to line up 2 million people, 2.3 million or whatever it is. I've heard different numbers. He's going to line up 2-point-something million people and on a Trail of Tears to head out to. He's going to open up. They're going to tear down the fence and let them all just flood into Jordan against the Jordanians' wishes. He's going to tear down the fence to on the east. Yes, east end of Gaza. Is that the east end? Yes. No, it's west end of Gaza. And so they go into the Sinai and then into Egypt. Neither of those countries want that, and neither of those countries are going to survive such a thing. To have millions of people flooding into their country. Is he going to put them all aboard a plane and bring them to the U.S.? Are we going to stand for that? I'm sure Trump didn't have that in mind. Nobody in the Middle East wants to take in 2 million plus Palestinians. In fact, I've been told by people who are Jewish and who know the situation over there, because the Israelis are very much for this. Okay, the Israeli people are, for the most part, about 80% of the Israeli people are very much in favor of what Trump is, and they were in favor of the war as well. A whole lot of Israelis that live there, and Israelis that live there tell me that nobody likes the Palestinians. That's obviously racism there, but essentially, Israel's long-term goal is from the river to the sea to eliminate all those all the Palestinians out of what Israel thinks is their historically biblical perspective of what of a twisted reading in the Old Testament says that is belongs to Israel. That's what's not being said. Okay, it's not just about removing Hamas, it's about removing every single Palestinian. If we can't move them out, we're going to kill them all, because that's our land. That's the goal, unstated goal. And that's becoming more apparent now as we go on, as everybody can see. So what's going to happen here? And now, again, as of this date, okay, depending on when you're watching this, Trump's already, well, the press secretary, whatever her name is, has already tried to backstep a couple of things he said, saying it's not permanent, it's temporary. Okay, and we're going to rebuild. This real estate magnate, he's going to come in, and he's going to acquire all this land, and he's going to put up casinos and condos and golf courses, and boy, it's going to be beautiful, that no Palestinian could possibly afford, even if they were allowed back in. Oh, we'll use them, jobs, all kinds of jobs. We'll use them as our slave labor to rebuild all these casinos and condos and so on. We're going to, all this beachfront property, we'll hire all the Palestinians, they'll work for us. And then it's time to leave, because you won't be able to afford anything, even if the country is available for anybody that's Palestinian to live. Just like they're trying to clear out the West Bank, same thing. The Golan Heights, it goes on and on. Moving more into Syria, trying to move into Lebanon. Israel is planning to expand from the river to the sea. That would include Jordan, the Sinai, Golan Heights, the West Bank, Lebanon, parts of Iraq. That's the goal here, folks. We're heading towards a possible world war if it continues. I hope that Trump is just trolling us, but it appeared to be. And if you watch the inauguration, the video of the inauguration, and you look behind, who was standing behind Hillary Clinton? Miriam Adelson, whose husband, the tens of millions, some say up to $100 million. I've heard mostly $50 to $100 million of donations for his reelection. This is who he's taking orders from partially, from the donors. Where do the Israelis get the money to buy off our politicians? Well, from you. You pay your taxes if you're from the U.S. You pay your taxes. The United States government gives Israel annually billions of dollars and weapons. And with some of those billions, they send back billions and buy off all our politicians. So congratulations, you just bought off a whole lot of our own politicians so that you can support us in our quest for being the United States of Israel. Donald Trump's talking about changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to forget the word America, because now it's going to have to be Israel. The Gulf of Israel, that's the new name. And he's talking about, can you say empire, expansionism, Greenland, taking back the Panama Canal, Canada? What's going on here? Did we elect a dictator? The balance of power has been disrupted with what's going on with Trump right now. Now, he'll lose in court a lot of this, what's going on. But he's obviously bound and determined to continue on the path that he's already mentioned. He can't hold it out. He can't hold it back. He's kept his mouth shut for a while. But before the election, what was his only comment about Israel's being? Oh, it's taking too long. That was his comment. It wasn't about how, he shouldn't be killing all those people. He's talking about all this destruction and how it's unlivable, how it's terrible to live there, but the guy was five feet away from him that did it. The guilty party. Let's see. Let's check some of the comments here. So Gaza becomes a beautiful move out. Yeah, I said that already. Chemical weapons confirmed use in Ukraine. Okay, I have not heard that story. Nice to see you doing okay. Mercenaries, that was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Crack Tower. Moving at Palestinians out of Gaza for their well-being seems outlandish to me. It's outlandish to anybody who has a brain, in my opinion. Again, if you're pro-Israel watching this program, you're going to be very mad at me. You can be pro-Jews if you want. That's fine. And I'm not anti-Jewish at all, but I'm anti-Zionists. The Zionists that are running the country of Israel. Israel shouldn't even exist, folks. It really wouldn't have existed without us. So the United States is the only reason Israel still exists, because they would have been eliminated a long time ago. It's going to be like that in the future, too. It's obviously getting worse, isn't it? I keep looking at the wrong camera. Sorry, folks. Egypt doesn't want them. Well, nobody wants them. Jordan doesn't want them. Egypt doesn't want them. Those are the two countries he specifically named. And none of the Arab states want them. But yet, all the Arab states are very pissed off at what he's done, what the Prime Minister of Israel has done. I live on the Trail of Tears here in southeast Missouri. Yeah, I said hundreds of miles. It might be thousands of miles that they were forced to march, and a lot of them didn't survive the march. They were forced to move at gunpoint, all from the east end of the country out to the central part of the U.S., where it was barren desert for land that nobody wanted. So if they open up, and Egypt's been preparing a little bit, folks. There's been some military activity with Egypt in the Sinai, because the Sinai is another vast stretch of desert west of Gaza Strip and Israel, between all the way to the canal, Egypt, which Egypt presently controls. Vast desert. But this will be one of the directions that a lot of these unwanted people, Palestinians, will be heading. I had the word to use beheading, Freudian slip, right? Let's see, what else? So maybe Mark Young on the chat can tell me how, it might have been thousands of miles, because Missouri is like 1,000 miles from the West Coast, I believe, roughly, maybe not quite. And places like Oklahoma, and I think that was one place where a lot of them went. I don't know. You can look up online and find out where the Trail of Tears, the path was. Jordan doesn't want them either. Personally, I don't think the Gazans want to move. Obviously, they don't want to move. It's their homeland. Would you want to move? If let's just take a scenario here, strictly hypothetical. China comes in and destroys our grid with an EMP weapon. Grid's been down for a year. They're going house to house, rounding up all Americans who don't want to be part of the new Chinese empire, and they're saying, well, you've got to move. We're marching you to, let's say, the Yukon. Just for the hell of it. Let's just say the Yukon, where it's frozen wasteland. I've never been to the Yukon, so maybe I shouldn't say that, folks. Sorry, all you Canadians. Somewhere nobody wants to live. Let's put it that way. But we're gonna this road. You're gonna have to march all the way up north. Grab some clothes if you want, but you got to go, because this is the new part of the new Chinese empire. This a division of Taiwan, whatever. I'm just making this up as I go, folks. I think you might fight. I think you might want to stay. I think you might not like what's going to happen to you. I think the Gazans are going to think the same thing. Yeah, they've got a bunch of bombed out rubble that we created, that we helped create through our proxy Israel. And now, what's going to happen to them? They're back, but now Trump seems to think he's going to get them to move. The only way I see this go anywhere near peacefully, again, this is just my opinion, the only way I can see this going through peacefully with him trying to remove all these people is to basically pay off a whole lot of people. And I don't necessarily mean the Palestinians. It could be that. It could be paying off the Palestinians. Well, we'll give you a plane ticket to, make up something here again, Bulgaria. Maybe Bulgaria says, okay, yeah, we'll take someone. Okay, we're going to pay your plane ticket to Bulgaria, and we're going to give you $10,000 to start a new life in Bulgaria. That's one thing. And times 2.5 million, or however many millions it is. But where's that money coming from? Well, you, the American taxpayer, that's where it comes from. Or paying off, and basically Egypt and Jordan already are paid off, but maybe he's going to have to send them billions of dollars more to get them to change their mind. Or make some other kind of threat to them where they'll change their mind. That's the art of his deal, by the way, to make you change your mind. His art of the deal ain't going to work with Russia, because Russia already won that war. But his art of the deal might work somewhat with Iran and Jordan and Egypt or any other country that he thinks he's going to move all these Palestinians to. And where's that money coming from? Well, the same place. It's coming from you. And your politicians aren't going to object to it because they've already been paid millions. They'll be paid millions more to make sure that they vote in favor of what's to come in this new United States of Israel. That's what's going to happen, folks. I mean, again, this is my opinion. You don't like my opinion, I'm just an a-hole with an opinion on the radio and on YouTube. So if you don't like it, well, get your own channel, do your own live stream. Let's see what else in the chat here. Somebody says they voted for Trump. I won't have to name you if you don't want to. But Trump's idea about Gaza with Netanyahu scares me a little. It scares me a lot. But I knew something was coming with Israel when he got in. I didn't know exactly what it is. I didn't really expect a lot of people. This is out of left field for a whole lot of people. Importantly, who would govern the new Gaza? Well, sounds like the U.S. Sounds like it's going to become a territory of the U.S. Or, well, again, the United States of Israel. Same thing. That's what it sounds like. Israel, officially, as far as I'm understanding the whole geography, is Gaza is just a place that is part of Israel, same with the West Bank, but this a place where Palestinians were allowed to live in peace, supposedly. Nothing's going to happen until it's a two-state solution. According to everything I've been seeing, and from leaders all over the world, have been calling for a two-state solution, meaning the Palestinians will have a place to go where they govern themselves and they can live in peace without Israel just trying to destroy them. And Israel keeps claiming that self-defense. Well, yeah, Arabs have been trying to destroy them because they've been destroying Arabs for decades. If Chinese were, again, I'm using a hypothetical here if the Chinese were using drones and continually bombing us, and we couldn't stop all these drones and killing us off little by little, I think you'd be a little teed too, and you might want to fight back against China, don't you think? That's what's going on there. If the United States becomes from a prison state to China, again, hypothetical, folks, I think you might fight back too. And that's the reason, the biggest reason, that we have guns here in the U.S. So we can fight back. That's part of the reason. The Second Amendment, regardless of what the mainstream media tells you, that's like the main reason for the Second Amendment. So the new Gaza would be governed by the United States of Israel. I think that kind of says it all, doesn't it? And I don't think it will be easy to keep out the Palestinians because they'll just make it so high priced. Condos starting at $1 million or whatever. I don't know what that translates to in shekels, but let's say $1 million starting price of condos. And how much money do you think all these Gazans have right now? They probably couldn't even afford a tent here in the last year, the way it was been going there. Yeah, scares me a lot. Again, I'm reading some of the conversation on the live chat on YouTube. People on Liberty Radio, you're welcome to call in as well and add to this. I'm going to be on the air live 20 more minutes with Liberty Tree Radio. And if people want to continue, and if the audience grows on YouTube, we can answer questions after I go off the air with Liberty Tree Radio. Because my time slot is between 7 and 8 weekdays on Liberty Tree Radio, Wednesday nights only. And I don't even do it all the time. I try to, but I get so busy, especially in warmer weather. And it's if you want to go there, it's libertytreeradio.4mg.com. That's how you get to Liberty Tree Radio if you want to catch me on times when I'm not doing a live stream on YouTube. I don't know which way I get more, long term, I don't know which way I get more views. If I get more views on YouTube over the long term, or if I get more views on Liberty Radio, which disappears in like a week. That the live stream I'm doing on Liberty Radio disappears a week, but the YouTube can stay up for as long as I want it to stay up. So I would be, if I were you as an American, we're stuck with something for 4 years now, and unless he changes his mind, or unless somebody makes him change his mind, what can you do? Well, you could protest. Your soapbox. The boxes of government, I call them sometimes. Your soapbox, the Ballot box, that's through with for at least 2 years. The ballot box, the soap box, but then there's the cartridge box. I'm not suggesting you go out and start shooting everything, because what do you shoot at? We'd be shooting each other. It'd be a civil war, because you got so many people that are brain dead enough to believe that this is going to be a good thing for the United States of Israel. I don't know what that. I bet if you took the polls, if you took legitimate polls, I bet you'll see his approval rating drop dramatically starting yesterday after that press conference. One of the funny seeing Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, sitting there. Just look at that press conference and watch his reaction. He got a little grin on his face. He's just like a giddy little school kid about ready to. I love this. It's amazing to see his reaction. Almost a little like maybe the first time he heard it, or he can't believe he's hearing it coming from the mouth of the United States president standing right next to him. He got his wish. Israel gets his wish only because the U.S. allows him to get his wish. Otherwise, he would have been done a long time ago. Trump could literally end this whole thing with one single phone call, or he could have had Bibi arrested as soon as he landed on U.S. soil. He does have arrest warrants worldwide for him. That's one of the reasons why Trump wants to get us out of with the ICC and some other organizations, that because the U.S. doesn't really agree when you label somebody as a war criminal that we're supporting. So if Bibi travels much of anywhere else in the world, he'll be arrested. And this may end badly anyway. It really will end badly for Israel in the end. I don't know how long it's going to take for Israel to be basically come down. We might have to come back down with them, but right now we have a parasite leeching off of the U.S. And you know what, Bibi? What happens to a parasite when the host is killed? Because that's what you're doing to us, Bibi. If you don't know Bibi, that's the prime minister of Israel. That's what Bibi is. It's the nickname for Bibi. For Netanyahu, that Yahoo they got over there in Israel. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about this, folks. I'm sorry. Somebody else says the Americans forced death march out of the country. Turkey. Well, no, there's a problem with Turkey, too. And Turkey not only does not want them, Turkey has its own problems. They're in the midst of what is almost to be a civil war between the Kurds. And they've got one foot in the European Union, is that right? And one foot in NATO. They've got serious problems there, too. Turkey isn't a place where you're going to see a refugee status for Palestinians, at least not many. Again, unless Trump sends them billions of dollars to supply to Israel, to Turkey. Turkey has been oil passing through Turkey by a pipeline going to Israel. That's been a thing for quite a long time. So Turkey's actually been helping Israel in one way, yet the other out of their mouth speaking bad about Israel. So they're very two-faced, and their leader is in a really serious bind. All the Middle Eastern countries are in a very serious bind over this right now. That's why we're going to end up at possibly out as a world war. Boots on the ground in Gaza. Can we stand that in the U.S.? Are we going to allow them? Are we going to have Marines? Are they going to be reporting for duty? Are they going to go AWOL? Are they going to be killed? Yes, they will be killed. Some of them will be killed. Maybe not as many as Gazans that are going to kill, but they'll be killed. Guaranteed. Body bags coming back home. Are we going to stand for that? Protests all around. They've tried to eliminate protests. Did you realize that when that happened during college campuses back this last year, 2024? They tried to make it illegal, basically. The colleges were shutting everybody down. They don't want anybody talking negatively about Israel because money coming in. We're in a desperate situation here. This is not going to go good for us because now we are hated all over the world for good reason. Don't you think? Our CIA for the last, how long has been CIA been in effect? Like 70 years? Nothing but case after case of interference with sovereign nations, killing leaders, removing leaders, interfering with their elections, overtaking countries, attacking countries, bombing countries. The CIA has been this deep in all our problems in international affairs for many decades, my entire life. If you don't believe that, look it up. There's even a page on the CIA's own website of their activities worldwide, going up through till the 70s, I think that document had. All the things and anything we get involved with, we just mess it up. We remove one partially functional dictator and throw in our own, one that does our bidding. And yet we have 750 military bases all over the world, and we have no business being there. But my opinion, and this was an opinion before World War I, and even much largely before World War II, because we didn't want to get involved in these world wars here in the U.S. We've always been kind of isolationist, and I guess you can call me that if you like. That's fine by me, because I believe we should close down all our military bases all over the world, except for the ones right here in the U.S., bring our troops back home, put them on our borders, protect our borders, because we've been under attack, and Trump is doing some of that. Bring them all back, put them on our border. A lot of the military can retire because we wouldn't need them anymore. But that would save you billions and billions of dollars, almost $1 trillion. Let's say $500 billion, because our military could be reduced greatly. There's your Doge right there. That's all you need to do, close down our military bases all over the world, and use that money to rebuild our infrastructure. Bring all our troops home, close down all military. And I don't mean like our cadaver-in-chief did at Biden. I'm talking about a sensible, like a year-long or 2-year-long shutdown, where you bring all our troops home, you bring all our equipment home, you shut them down like a normal country would. Shut all the bases down, stop sending everybody money, and that's happening at the moment for most countries. Except not, of course, Israel and Ukraine and Egypt, actually, believe it or not. But stop sending everybody money. That way, Israel wouldn't have the money to send back to bribe our politicians, you see. So stop sending everybody money and mind their own damn business. What national security threat is Gaza Strip for us? What national security threat is Israel to us, Iran to us? What national security threat is anywhere we've been involved with us? We can defend our own country. We've got thousands of miles of oceans around us, around any potential enemy. It's a great place to be, to defend. And that's the only legitimate use of the military, is defense. But we haven't used that for our military. Name one time when we have used our military for actual defense. You could claim World War II, and actually in World War II, that was the last time the Congress declared war. So that's the last time we were actually legitimately at any kind of war. You could argue whether that was self-defense or not, but all our troops got sent over to countries all over the world. They weren't doing much actual defense here of our United States of Israel. Hawaii wasn't even a state then. So what are we doing? Our military should only be used for defense. But we've never used it for that. Virtually never used it. I'd have to go back hundreds of years probably to find an instant where we actually use it for defense. Again, sorry folks, you're probably going to like some of the things I say. I'm not anti-government. My government, as declared, as spelled out in the Constitution, that's my country. But what I'm seeing happening here is not my country anymore. Our country has been taken over, subverting the Constitution, and we have now, we used to have the Constitution kind of guaranteed us a balance of power between the three branches of government. But now the executive branch has taken over. That's the way he's playing it right now. I'm not in favor of this, folks. We need to protest. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do, which nobody's going to do this. Some people have done this. Stop paying your taxes. Do you feel comfortable with your tax money going to do this, to kill innocent people over in the countries all over the world? Is this something you enjoy seeing your tax money do? You're funding this. Where's our moral high ground that we thought we had? That's an idea that nobody wants to contemplate, but that's something you can do. I'm giving you options here, folks. Some of us already taken that option, by the way. You stop paying your federal income taxes. That's something none of you are going to do, probably. None of you have the guts to do that. What else can you do? The cartridge box comes when you see drones flying overhead, which I guess we have, right? And isn't that interesting how Trump basically said, "Oh, that was a nothing burger. We knew what it was. It was just us, and we're just doing some experiments and testing, and nothing to see here, folks." Does anybody believe that? Trump's pretending to play a good game about informing the American people what's going on, but I think that's kind of one of the things that we kind of see, well, no, okay, he lied to us again. I'd like to see what happens with the JFK files, actually, to see if we really find out who was involved with killing JFK. And you will find that when that finally comes about, you will find that the Secret Service aided it, probably via the CIA, even though the CIA is not supposed to have operations here. Might have involved the mob or Israel. We'll see, or we won't see. Trump is making it sound like this is our last chance to see. Are we going to see all those documents that have been redacted over the last many decades? Are we going to see those now released without the redactions and see the names of people that we should be mad at? And of course, now probably everybody involved is dead, and that was part of the goal of keeping them sealed this long, is to make sure that everybody that could be prosecuted or something done to them would be. Trump move Ukraine support to Netanyahu Gaza war. Okay, I've got about 5 minutes left here, folks, on the live stream for Liberty Tree Radio. One of the things do I want to say, lots to be said, and although I normally don't promote anything, and I'm not promoting this for me, I get paid nothing for this. But for those of you on YouTube especially, if you want to keep up to date with some seriously good information, check out the likes of Scott Ritter, the likes of Colonel Douglas McGregor. Anyway, you can go to a channel called, there's several good channels. There's a channel called Dialogue Works that does really well. And there's also a channel called Judging Freedom that has great guests on. And you can find like a dozen different guests it's a webcast, and the Judging Freedom one is a half an hour long. He's on every day, every weekday he's on, and has several guests on every day. And you can listen to all those and get good information. That's a place where you can go to get good information on YouTube if you want to do that. Liberty Radio obviously might be a good place to get good information, but I don't actually listen to Liberty Radio. I don't know what the other guests are saying on my own network, to be honest with you. But I kind of know the mindset of them, and they're probably largely in favor of what I'm saying right now, and I probably think most of their guests are on Liberty Tree Radio, most of the programs on Liberty Tree Radio. I wouldn't suggest, the internet is full of nonsense also. The mainstream media is full of nonsense, so is the clickbait nonsense on YouTube is everywhere. You're watching a channel, and this is something very rare, you're not going to see. I don't have an ulterior motive monetarily like all the others do, because all the other channels you have watched on YouTube probably are either taking money from YouTube, having a monetized channel, affiliate links below me, sponsors where they run the commercial right in there where you're yelling at the screen and clicking forward, donations, a way to make donations. None of that's available on my channel. Don't have any way for you to make a donation. Don't have any of that stuff. My channel, I could. I've had a lot of people, about every week I get emails from somebody trying to monetize my channel and work in partnership with make my channel better. Well, no, YouTube doesn't like my channel because I'm not monetized. And yeah, if I went monetized, my channel would grow. And that's one of the reasons I don't do very many videos these days, folks, because I don't get the attention because the YouTube bot ignores me. My channel hasn't grown in about 5 or 6 years. Been basically flatlined because the bot doesn't like me. I don't play their money game. If you can find channels like that, embrace them, because those are the ones that might be telling you some sort of truth without being interfered by a lobby of some sort or have a money ulterior motive. Because most everything on YouTube has become a cesspool of commercialism. It's very difficult to watch YouTube anymore because it's just everywhere. Everywhere. My suggestion to you folks, prepare. We are going to be more vulnerable. If ever there was a time when we're going to see any kind of something that you would really could call terrorism in the U.S., this could be it. We could be seeing a lot of things. Our grid is going to be very vulnerable, and if we lose power, we are all in trouble. We are addicted to electricity. I don't care who you are, you're going to be affected by it. Even the Amish are going to be affected by this. We are addicted to electricity because the Amish are going to be attacked by those of us who are addicted to electricity. The Amish are going to be attacked. Food storage, a way to make clean water from a ditch. A way to heat your home if that's possible. If you don't live out in the wilderness, it's going to be kind of impossible because wood is going to become really scarce, especially in the more northern climates. The grocery store is going to be, your currency isn't going to work because everything is electronic these days. Just about have some cash, maybe some gold and silver. If you do buy gold or silver, I would recommend, if you're going to do any of that, I don't recommend cyber money, whatever, cyber currency. I don't recommend that because, frankly, we don't have any control over that. And if the internet goes down, which after the grid goes down, the internet will be down, you won't have any of that anyway. So maybe some cash on hand if people still take U.S. dollars. But silver, you might have some what they call junk silver. Junk silver is basically means 90% coins from 1964 and earlier. U.S. coins were made of 90% silver. Dimes, quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars made of 90% silver. People recognize that. They're worn. It would be hard to counterfeit them to where they all didn't look new. But junk silver is worn, and they're all worn differently. Sometimes you can't even read the dates on them, but that's something people can understand and believe is real because there could be a lot of fake stuff going on there. Gold is going to be more difficult because a gold coin right now, a 1 ounce gold coin is going for like $2,800. Whoa. Silver is going, last time I checked here about a week ago, it was like $32 an ounce. A silver dime will still buy a gallon of gas, just like it could in 1964 when the last time we had real money, because we haven't had real money. Yeah, cryptocurrency, I don't agree. That's my personal choice. I don't agree with cryptocurrency because, frankly, I think that cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, is probably a government enterprise. It's probably all set up by the government because the people who created the Federal Reserve aren't going to sit back and let some douche on a computer somewhere in China or Japan or wherever it came from and allow them to destroy their currency, their fiat money system that they worked on for the last 100 years to refine to get to where they want it, to where they have full control over it and us and the economy. So no, I don't think cryptocurrencies are real. I think they're all part. They probably know exactly how much cryptocurrency you have if you have some of it. But they can wipe it out on this, and that's easy for them to do. It's a computer bit, a bit and byte. It's very easy to do. It's gone. So I don't recommend cryptocurrency. Last I checked, the Bitcoin was going for over $60,000, but that's fluctuated massively, and we don't even know who owns half of Bitcoin. I think I know who owns half of Bitcoin. I think it's our government, or some world leader somewhere, or some world organization that wants to rule the world. That's my opinion. Again, just an a-hole with a show on YouTube and the internet and Liberty Radio. Get your own show if you don't like my opinion. And you're welcome to. I haven't been getting a lot of feedback, a lot of pushback here on YouTube or on Liberty Radio. And I'm going to turn the volume down of Liberty Radio because it could kick off the bot on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for Liberty Radio listening to me. If you want to continue on, we'll see if I stay on very much longer on YouTube. It depends on how many people stick around on YouTube and want to see more or hear more or ask questions. I'll be going on. I'll stay on the air for a while. The channel name is Forbid TV. That's Forbid spelled with 2 Ds. Forbid TV, and that's at YouTube.com. So see you there, and thanks for all who listen on Liberty Radio. So long. Until next time. Muted. and hang up. Okay. All right. Anybody on YouTube now? I'm off the air on Liberty Radio. Welcome to take your. Anybody who's still here who wants to speak or who wants to put on an opinion or ask a question about anything on my channel. My channel is about a lot of different things. That's another reason the algorithm doesn't favor me because my channel's all over the place. It's got a lot of different topics. But I do have for a long time, I debunked a lot of topics. For a long time, I did a lot of topics about radiation. I still do those topics. But I hardly do any videos anymore because every time I do a video, it doesn't. Even though I don't try to make money, I want to see my channel increase, and so that's why I was doing videos. It was enjoyable to see my subscriptions and viewership and everything increase. And I did for a long time, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And that's because of the algorithm. The YouTube algorithm doesn't like me. And it's not even like me anymore now is with this episode because I've talked about the things I'm not supposed to talk about, the things I don't want people really talking about. Russia hacked the U.S. government, and when they looked into it, the files they looked at was our military response to the grid going down. Okay, that's interesting. I've not heard that. I don't doubt it. China has the ability, probably North Korea has the ability, too, to shut our grid down. If you don't know about this, one high altitude, I think it's like a couple hundred miles, one or two high altitude nuclear detonations, high altitude, I mean almost in space, okay? High altitude nuclear detonations wouldn't kill anybody, wouldn't be a massive radiation threat, but the EMP, electromagnetic pulse, could take our grid down. If you don't know about this study, this is an amazing topic. It's our biggest vulnerability, our grid going down. That's if man does it. And China is one country that can do it from a computer without a nuclear weapon. Because a lot of the transformers that we bought, some of them came from China, a lot of them came from South Korea. We can build some here, but they take like more than a year to build. If the EMP will short out transformers and destroy them. The EMP will short out transformers and destroy them. The large transformers. I'm not talking about the transformers on the pole outside your house. I'm talking about the big transformers that weigh hundreds of tons that are on the outskirts of town. They're fenced in, that people have taken pot shots at and destroyed. If that's done through sleeper cells in the U.S., we don't have any illegals in this country, right? That could have sleeper cells that might destroy our grid, right? By shooting at them simultaneously, because if nothing get taken down around the country, we could have our grid go down. But also, China can shut them down in their computer because what they found was some of the, I think they disassembled and looked at and found there was malware in some of the transformers that were purchased from China that the Chinese could shut down from a computer in China. Now, I'm hoping in that instance that, okay, they can reprogram the thing, they can take these two cables over here and put them over there to get our power back. I'm hoping that people are smart enough to be able to do that, but everything's computerized now, folks, and the hacking, nothing's safe. Even your cryptocurrency, nothing's safe. Anything can be hacked. And so, yeah, they can hack our grid because everything's based on computers now and everything's online. We need to be getting away from that, in my opinion. Again, I'm just an a-hole with an opinion. But I don't doubt that Russia has that. I'm sure Russia and China and North Korea and other countries, maybe even Israel, has the plans in place to bring our grid down if they want to. We're sitting ducks, folks, and we've talked about this. I've talked about it on my channel for more than a decade now. I just got notification that I'm on my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. I've been on longer than that, but I didn't have my first video until apparently 2015, apparently. But I'd been on for years before that as well. I just didn't have any videos posted. But the grid being down is our biggest vulnerability. Somebody's leaving because their battery's done, so thanks again. Okay, anybody else want to ask any questions? I could talk about the grid being down. Prepare, but the biggest thing to prepare for is the grid being down, and none of us is ready for that. Virtually none of us are ready for that. Your solar systems might be out, because there's also a thing called the electromagnetic pulse can come from the sun as well. It doesn't have to be coming from a man-made nuclear detonation. It could be coming from the sun. Something mass coronal ejection, I think, a CME, coronal mass ejection. The big one that happened in 1859 took out the telegraph. That was the only technology we really had of the day. the lines were smoking, the operators got shocked touching the machines. Telegraph was basically destroyed. You can see the aurora borealis all over the world. That will happen again here someday. We've had some other ones. I think it was 1913, 1919, something. There was another one, not nearly as big as the what they call the Carrington event of 1859. I got my ears right. Look up the Carrington event. So the grid is very vulnerable, and we need to. They're not doing anything really majorly. They're not doing anything majorly to be able to correct it. We are sitting ducks, and that's the hardest thing to prepare for, because there's been a government study that showed if our grid was down for a year, and this will be down for more than a year, folks. It takes about 18 months to even build one of these custom-made transformers. And it takes a long time to get them here, and I think there's only 6 ships the U.S. even has that can actually transport these things from overseas. The grid's going to be down for more than a year, and that's even good time. That's if we had power available to do something. And our nuclear power plants might be melting down because of the grid being down. It's not going to be fun. I'm not too worried about the nuclear power plants, to be honest with you, because of my knowledge of nuclear and radiation and all that. I'm not too worried about them melting down, because they're all in containment buildings, just like Fukushima is. So Fukushima melted three reactors, completely melted down. Yet nobody died from radiation in Japan. And it would be the same here, basically. And we do have backups, batteries. They'll last for a little while. But then we have generators, but how long are they going to be able to keep those running because of the fuel? Until they're cooled down to what they call a zero state, what's it called? Blank at the moment. Until they're powered down to where they no longer need cooling water, they're at risk of melting down, and a lot of them probably will when the grid goes down for a year. But even if it melts down, they're in containment vessels. They have containment vessels designed to contain the radiation. Very thick concrete walls. Nuclear power plants don't explode like an atomic bomb. That's a misunderstanding about nuclear energy. So, okay, anybody else have any comments? Thanks for everybody who gave a thumbs up. I think they say that helps the algorithm. Unless anybody else wants to talk about something else. I could go on forever, of course. Well, I can't go on forever, but I'm very worried. I may go on more live because of what's happening with our new administration. I may be going on live more as the things develop, because, like I said, the half-life of political instances now seems to be increasing rapidly. So many things going on. So nobody else asked a question, so I thank everybody for watching on YouTube. I'm going to figure out how to end stream, and I'm going to go off the air now. So thank you all. So long. My computer is not reacting very quickly.